54, I believe he was diagnosed when he was in his 40s, late 40s. But Irv doesn't go to the doctor, so that's why he's so late being diagnosed, right? And then when he finally did go get a real physical and a checkup, he's like, "You're diabetic," and he didn't believe it. Irv was type 1. Actually, it started with type 2, developed into type 1. So my dad was diabetic. He passed at 86. And when we talk about this topic, why it's so dear and sensitive for me, is I watched him suffer the last 3 years of his life.
This one is truly heartbreaking. Irv Gotti's brother, Chris Gotti, has finally opened up about what really happened in the final chapter of Irv's life. And honestly, the truth is not just emotional, it's a lesson, a painful one. One that could change the way we think about health, especially in communities that often overlook it. If you're not familiar with Irv Gotti, he was one of the biggest names in the music world during the early 2000s.
This ain't no job for me, man. I love music and I was born to do what I was doing. This ain't no job. That's why I could work 24, 48 hours. Sometimes, in real talk, sometimes I've worked for 2 days straight, no sleep. And I don't care, because it's not really a job to me. I love what I do.
He was the mastermind behind Murder Inc., a major record label that launched the careers of stars like Ja Rule and Ashani. His work shaped a whole generation of hip-hop music and culture. But behind the spotlight and success, there was something going on that very few people knew about. Irv was fighting a quiet battle along, exhausting struggle with diabetes. And according to Chris, it was this health issue that ultimately led to his sudden and tragic death. Chris recently spoke out, sharing for the first time the details of his brother's private health journey.
Enough, he did go on his terms. He just didn't believe it, and he was like, "I'm gonna go the way basically I wanted." He ate a bunch of Chinese food while playing poker and had a massive hemorrhagic stroke, which is bleeding on the brain.
It turns out that Irv had been living with diabetes for years. What makes it even more painful is that he didn't take the illness seriously. Despite having access to top doctors, plenty of money, and resources that most people can only dream of, he ignored the warning signs. He brushed off symptoms and pushed through the pain, and by the time he realized the severity of the situation, it was far too late. Chris said that Irv would often complain about feeling drained. He was always tired. He was extremely thirsty, which is a known red flag for diabetes. He'd also get infections often, another classic indicator that something wasn't right inside his body. But instead of going to the doctor regularly or following up with medical advice, Irv kept moving forward like nothing was wrong. He was so focused on his work, his business, and keeping up with the lifestyle he had built that his health took a backseat. That kind of thinking that health can wait is what cost him his life. Chris made a comparison that hit deep.
This morning, Irv Gotti, a Queens native and founder of Murder Inc. Records, has died.
Their father also had diabetes, but he treated it seriously. He took care of his body, changed his diet, followed the doctor's instructions, and lived into his mid-80s. Meanwhile, Irv, despite all his success and resources, didn't follow the same steps. What makes this story even more tragic is that diabetes is manageable. You don't have to die from it. So many people live long, healthy lives with diabetes, but only if they take care of themselves. That's why Chris is speaking out now. He doesn't want anyone else to make the same mistake his brother did. He's not just grieving Irv, he's trying to prevent others from going through the same pain. He said that especially in the Black community, too many people wait too long to take diabetes seriously. By the time they get checked out, the damage is often already done.
Rule, Ashanti. I mean, when I'm on air, those are not just the songs I'll be playing today in tribute to Irv Gotti, but those are songs we play every day.
If my brother had followed the same path as our father, Chris said, he would still be alive today. Those words struck a chord. When Chris's interview was posted online, fans from all over started responding. Some were devastated to hear the truth. Others were angry, saying it shouldn't have ended this way. Many called it a wake-up call. One fan commented, "This hurts. Irv was a legend, and it's awful knowing it could have been avoided." Another person added, "My dad ignored the signs for years too. We lost him because of it. Please everyone take care of your health." Chris said if even one life is saved by sharing Irv's story, then speaking out was worth it. What makes this even harder to hear is what happened on Irv's final night. According to Chris, Irv was home, surrounded by friends, doing something he loved, playing poker. They were laughing, having fun, and enjoying some Chinese food. Everything seemed normal. Everything seemed fine.
I love my family, and I know my family depends on me to do a lot of things. So if it comes time for me to kick in, Gotti's gonna kick in. And if it means directing the video, marketing, promotions, I don't care. If it means me handing out flyers, I'll hand out flyers. I have no pride when it comes to my family. I have no ego when it comes to my family. It's whatever has to be done, and I'll do it.
Then, suddenly, Irv put his hand to his head in pain. His friends thought he was joking. Maybe it was a bluff during the game. But, within moments, he collapsed. Panic followed. People rushed to call 911, tried to help him, but nothing worked. By the time help arrived, it was too late. Doctors later confirmed the cause, a massive hemorrhagic stroke, a type of stroke caused by bleeding in the brain. The doctors said this was directly related to his diabetes. Uncontrolled blood sugar over time can weaken blood vessels, making them fragile and more likely to burst. That's what happened to Irv. Chris shared that I've used to say, "When I go, I want it to be on my terms," and in a strange, sad way, that's how it happened. He was surrounded by his people, doing something that made him happy, but still it didn't have to end that way. Medical professionals have spoken about this too. They explain that when diabetes isn't managed, it slowly damages the body from the inside. It can cause high blood pressure, lead to kidney failure, and increase the risk of deadly strokes just like the one Irv suffered. His body had been warning him for years, but he didn't pay attention, and when the moment finally came, there was no going back. Irv's death shook the entire music industry. He wasn't just another producer or businessman, he was a game changer. He had helped define what hip-hop sounded like in the early 2000s. He had supported artists when no one else would. He had taken chances. He built something that had never been done before. When the news of his death spread, tributes poured in from all over. Yarul, his longtime friend and collaborator, was one of the first to speak. He posted on Instagram, "Irv wasn't just my brother, he was family. I don't even know how to put this into words." Ashanti, who had her ups and downs with Irv but never forgot his impact, kept her tribute short and heartfelt. "Rest in peace. Thank you for believing in me when no one else did." Fat Joe, who was part of the same era of hip-hop and had a close friendship with Irv, said, "This one hurts. Irv was a visionary. I hope people remember the genius he was." Even Jay-Z, who had his differences with Irv over the years, spoke out. He called Irv one of the sharpest minds in hip-hop and recognized how much he had influenced the culture. One silence that stood out was from 50 Cent. He had a long-standing feud with Irv and Murder Inc., but many fans noticed that he didn't say anything publicly. Some saw that silence as a quiet sign of respect. After all, sometimes words aren't needed. Irv's family chose to keep his funeral private. It wasn't about fame, headlines, or the spotlight. It was about honoring the real man behind the music. The service was held in New York City, the place where Irv built his dream. Only close friends and family were invited. Yarul, Ashanti, Fat Joe, DJ Khaled, and others who had worked with Irv came to pay their respects. Chris gave a speech that brought everyone to tears. He talked about the special bond he shared with Irv. He also admitted his regrets, wishing he had pushed his brother harder to take care of himself. Irv gave his all to music, to this industry. "I just wish he had given that same energy to his health," Chris said through tears. He also used the moment to spread awareness. If you learn nothing else from this, he said, let it be this. Take care of your body. Don't ignore the signs. Go to the doctor. Get checked. It could save your life. By the end of the service, there wasn't a dry eye in the room. But here's what's important. This isn't the end of Irv's story. His legacy is far from over. Irv wasn't just another executive. He was a creative force. He helped build one of the most powerful record labels in hip-hop history. Without him, we might not have had the biggest songs from Ja Rule, Ashanti, or Lloyd. He had a gift of vision for the music world that very few people had. He was bold, unafraid to take chances, and loyal to the people he believed in. That's why Chris doesn't want this to be remembered just as another sad celebrity death. He wants it to be a lesson, a wake-up call, especially for the Black community, where diabetes is quietly taking to many lives. Studies show that Black Americans are nearly twice as likely to get diabetes as white Americans. And the biggest issue, many don't take it seriously until it's too late. Chris hopes that Irv's death changes that people start talking more, going to the doctor more, listening to their bodies more. Fans are already responding. On social media, people are opening up about their own health struggles. One person wrote, "Just made a doctor's appointment after watching this. Health is wealth." Another said, "Seeing another Black man die young from ignoring his body is too much. We have to do better." Irv's life and the way he left this world has started a bigger conversation. One about self-care, about listening to warning signs, about not waiting until the last minute to make a change. It doesn't matter how rich you are, how talented you are, how much the world loves you. None of it matters if you're not healthy enough to enjoy it. Irv Gotti changed music. He inspired millions, but in the end, ignoring his health cost him everything. His story is not just about music, it's a reminder to all of us. So, if you're reading this and thinking about skipping that checkup, don't. If someone you love is showing signs of illness, but brushing them off, speak up. A single visit to the doctor, a small change in what you eat, or even managing stress better, these things can literally save lives. Don't wait until it's too late. Irv Gotti's story isn't just a tragedy, it's a wake-up call. No matter how successful you are, your health must come first. Ignoring the signs can cost everything. If this touched you, let it be a reminder to take care of yourself and those around you. Go to the doctor, ask questions, make your health a priority. Irv left behind a powerful legacy, but he also left behind a lesson we all need to learn. If his story saves even one life, it's worth sharing. Like, comment, and subscribe.